Credit card repayment schedules are structured through actuarial modeling and behavioral data analysis, which means the financial terms of borrowing are optimized for institutional profitability rather than borrower convenience. Most people treat debt as a simple math problem, but behavioral research from Princeton University confirms it is a structured system shaped by decades of consumer psychology research to produce consistent and predictable repayment behavior. The minimum payment printed on your monthly statement is not a helpful suggestion, but a structurally calculated figure that statistically extends repayment timelines to 11 years or longer for the average borrower. A $4,000 credit card balance at 19% interest becomes $6,200 in total repayment if you never exceed the required minimum monthly payment amount. Stanford neuroscience research found that anticipating a purchase activates dopamine pathways more intensely than the actual moment of ownership, which explains why borrowed money feels psychologically identical to money you earned. 0% financing offers carry deferred interest structures that activate the moment the promotional period ends and can significantly increase the total cost beyond the original purchase price. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler proved that people mentally separate money into categories, causing them to pay high-interest credit card debt while holding untouched savings in low-yield accounts simultaneously. The debt consolidation industry earns over $8 billion per year, despite independent research showing that 68% of clients return to equivalent debt levels within just 36 months. Debt normalization is a documented psychological phenomenon where consistent exposure to owing money causes people to accept borrowing as a permanent life condition rather than a correctable financial state. Research from the Journal of Consumer Research confirmed that people spend 23% more when using credit cards versus cash because deferred payment removes the psychological pain of spending entirely. The avalanche repayment method, targeting the highest interest rate, first saves the average borrower over $14,000 more than the snowball method across a standard 10-year repayment period. The buy now, pay later industry grew by 240% between 2019 and 2023, with young adults representing 71% of all new accounts open. Every buy now, pay later transaction is designed to make future payment obligations invisible to the human brain until multiple installments accumulate into an unmanageable and simultaneous financial crisis. Payday lending products carry effective annual interest rates between 300 and 400%, creating a mathematically impossible repayment cycle for the 32 million people who use them annually. The sunk cost fallacy keeps indebted households paying for unused subscriptions and memberships while simultaneously carrying high-interest revolving credit balances that compound silently every single billing cycle without interruption. Households with written monthly budgets carry 53% less revolving credit card debt than demographically identical households managing spending through informal mental tracking, according to University of Michigan financial research. Credit utilization above 30% of your available limit reduces your personal score by approximately 50 points and increases borrowing costs on every future financing application you submit afterward. Auto loans carry the highest consumer default rate, with borrowers frequently owing more than their vehicle market value within just 18 months because of the accelerating speed of mechanical depreciation. Financial psychologist Brad Klontz identified that unconscious money beliefs inherited from family financial behavior patterns predict individual debt accumulation with greater statistical accuracy than either income level or formal education. The lifestyle inflation pattern documented in behavioral finance literature shows that income increases consistently produce proportional new debt rather than proportional savings growth among middle-income households across multiple studied economies. The National Bureau of Economic Research found that people receiving unexpected financial windfalls eliminate only 40% of their existing debt and allocate the full remainder toward unnecessary consumption spending. Home equity lines of credit convert your most protected personal asset into liquid collateral, with research confirming that 81% of borrowers do not increase their net worth afterward. The phantom wealth phenomenon occurs when rising home or investment values cause people to borrow against unrealized gains, as if those gains represent permanent and immediately accessible personal income available now. Emergency funds covering 3 to 6 months of expenses statistically reduce new debt accumulation by 54% because unexpected financial shocks are the primary documented trigger for high-interest emergency borrowing. Student loan balances in the United States alone surpassed $1.7 trillion, with the average borrower requiring more than 20 years to achieve complete and total repayment. Balance transfer cards offering 0% introductory rates carry a structural trap in which 72% of users fail to eliminate transferred balances before the promotional period expires permanently. Refinancing a mortgage at even 1 percentage point lower on a $300,000 loan produces lifetime savings exceeding $60,000 on a standard 30-year repayment schedule. Sleep deprivation research conducted through controlled studies shows that people sleeping fewer than 6 hours nightly make debt-accumulating financial decisions at a rate 38% higher than well-rested counterparts. Couples practicing full financial transparency and joint debt management carry on average 40% less total household debt than couples maintaining completely separate accounts without any shared financial visibility between them. Medical debt accounts for over 66% of personal bankruptcy filings, despite being the most negotiable and forgiveness-eligible category of consumer liability available to any individual debtor who simply asks. Debt stacking, where new borrowing continuously layers onto unresolved obligations, increases total lifetime interest, paid by an average of $230,000 per household, according to longitudinal financial studies. Countries with mandatory financial literacy programs in secondary school curricula carry national household debt levels averaging 42% lower than countries without such education, according to extensive cross-cultural OECD research data. The compound interest principle operates identically whether applied to savings growth or debt accumulation, but behavioral research shows that people respond with far less urgency to compounding debt than compounding investments. The psychological contract theory applied to personal finance explains why people honor credit card minimums more consistently than savings goals, because lenders create formal accountability while savings remain entirely self-enforced. High-income earners carry proportionally more lifestyle debt than lower-income earners because social comparison pressure intensifies with wealth exposure, a phenomenon economists call the relative income hypothesis in consumer spending behavior. The debt capacity threshold used by institutional lenders globally states that total monthly obligations should never exceed 36% of gross monthly income for a household to maintain long-term stability. People carrying revolving credit card debt while simultaneously holding investment accounts are paying guaranteed interest costs higher than the average expected returns their investment portfolios are statistically likely to generate. Present bias causes the human brain to value $100 today approximately twice as highly as the same $100 received just 12 months from now in the future. Credit products are structured so that the immediate benefits of borrowing remain highly visible while the total long-term repayment cost remains psychologically distant and underweighted in the borrower's decision-making process. The only individuals who consistently escape the debt cycle are those who study how credit systems function at a structural level and apply that understanding to every borrowing decision they make. Avoiding debt mistakes is not about earning more money or willpower, but about recognizing the documented psychological mechanisms that cause future income to be systematically redirected toward interest payments rather than personal wealth building. Every financial decision you make today either builds compounding momentum in your favor or deepens a repayment cycle that grows more expensive and more difficult to exit with each passing